all, thank you to the MC for the kind introduction. Uh, we were actually quite surprised. I think the three of us, the winners, when we were sort of invited to give the talk on the Perak Road market competition that we participated in, because it was about 1.5 years ago. So we sort of like, hey, what's happening? Suddenly we are asked to talk. And the funny thing is in KL. So anyway, but I guess you all are very interested what's happening in Penang. Okay, I'll just jump straight to it. Just introduce a bit of the site, where is it, the 2 plots of land which the MC has just mentioned. Okay, we have 2 sites. Site A, basically if you see, this is not where the market is. Funnily enough, they call this Site A. I don't understand why they call it the market competition, but Site A is not where the market is. But if you can see, Site A, where's the pointer? Yeah, Site A is this whole piece of land. So you see the surrounding is all the high-rise apartments, low cost, and there's a bomba station here. So this is where Site A is. Perak Road is right around here. We go further on to what you see on ground. First you see initially where the bird's eye view is. So this is where the entrance to the village is. It's not very grand, it's very narrow. How you typically see in a kampong entrance, okay? You do see a 40-foot road, you know. And then there is, funny enough, inside there is a health clinic there. We don't know actually who operates it, but I guess it's for the people there. Okay, again, you see the kampong village living, the atap houses, you know, lots of plants there. I guess people were just staying there ever since, okay? And then there are a lot of temples there. Just to let you know what the people there is, predominantly they are all Chinese, but there are also Malays staying there, but mainly a lot more Chinese. So you'll see a lot more Chinese temples there. Okay, this is Site B. This is right across the Perak Road right here. I will show you furthermore on the Google map. So if you can see, Site B is right this side. This is where the market is, and this is where the makeshift hawker center. It is where the main road coming in from Perak Road. As we go further down in, you see this is where the existing market. At that time, the competition was launched right after Chinese New Year. So a lot of things was happening, you know, people buying Chinese New Year stuff. A lot of stalls was doing all this decorative for Chinese New Year. Okay, this is where the makeshift extra market is. If you can see, people are buying things on their motorbikes as though it's a drive-through like that. Okay. Okay, again, you see the kampung village living. And then, funny enough, when I go to market, I see old ladies like this when I go with my wife. You know, she always enjoys seeing old ladies talking, and sometimes she pities them, so she buys things from them out of pity. Okay? And then you see a lot more Chinese temples, and then this is where makeshift extra hawker. I guess they do it in a way because the existing market building is very small, but a lot of people are, you know, because of making a living, they, you know, create more space to sell things and stuff like that. Okay? Now, this will show you a bit more of the market building, because this is a market rejuvenation competition. So when we were there, you know, it looks very interesting. Wow, this building has been there, and you know, it has this tree-pointed roof. Okay, you can see it's jacked up right up there, but you know, daylight won't come in. But they have this, you know, penetration for light. They like to come in, but they still on the lights. Okay, for us it was a lot of architecture in this building. It feels as though it would be a shame if we just tear it down and remove it away. Okay. Okay, this picture is actually right in the middle, where if you actually go into the building, you will see sort of like a courtyard. Funny enough, a courtyard in a market. Okay, but it's very interesting. Then, like I said, the building is too small to fit in so many hawkers. They actually make use of the corners of the market to actually sell more things. And then you see the chairs that's been placed there, different kind of chairs, wooden chairs, I don't know, this different kind of era. And then, yeah, like I said, at the corner, they are selling more things. Okay, from there, we sort of think, what is it that we see in this group of people? We were there right from the top, the bird's eye view, and then going to the how people are working, and then selling things, buying things, talking. So it comes to us that we see there's about 5 sort of main core ideas that we see in these activities that was there. Okay, 5 core elements. We wish we could, in this competition, maintain it, especially when you want to do something for rejuvenation, especially when you've been staying there for so long. You don't wish to just remove these people away and say, hey, you get out and I want to do something here. I guess we need to sort of respect these people who has been living there for generations and generations. So first of all, there's a sense of community. It's very harmonious. It's their lifestyle, where they come and work, where they sell the things, and then it's also where they play. So this is the thing, I don't think we want to sort of just remove it away. Second of all, there's a sense of nostalgia, where we see that the market building itself, where they have a sense of belonging. When you go to the market, you know what you want to buy. You know which stall you want to go to. I go straight away. I mean, maybe that's a guy way of buying things. I know where is it. I go straight away and I buy. Or this particular chicken seller, when I go to him, he knows what I want. Why I don't want to go to the next chicken seller. That kind of thing. There's a familiarity with this, the people that's going there. And also the architecture that we want to sort of maintain in the market building. Third of all is the religious aspects of it, where the people there are very religious, their custom, especially we can see very clearly, especially at the time was during Chinese New Year. So of the beliefs to a higher being, and also in architecture. I guess it was also in the brief that we were supposed to maintain or relocate the 3 existing temple. There's a lot of temples actually, but I think there was only 3 that was sort of registered. And fourth of all is creativity. I think in terms of creativity, you see in the trade where over the years, things have changed in how they sell the things. I don't think back then you have paper ornaments or Chinese New Year or even the lantern and stuff like that. Okay, so you will see they're actually very innovative in their culture. Last but not least is sustainability. When we want to move in and remove or do something in the land there, you will see how the actual site is, you see how and the environment, how the building is. At the same time, I think sustainability is not just the environment or the architecture, but itself the economy, how the people sort of traded, exchange money, how the economy has been there. Over the years of cycle of, every cycle of economy, downturn or what, they are still there, So these are the 5 important things that we sort of realize we want to maintain, keep it there, especially in the change of era and the state government want to do something with this piece of land. We want to keep it, keep these 5 elements. Okay, as we saw the 5 elements and stuff like that, where do we draw inspiration? The best for us in our team, actually, we sort of look close to where Malaysia is, and Kampong Admiralty in Singapore sort of draw our attention. The best representation of the whole community living, where everything happens at one space. But this is a building. But we sort of draw inspiration from this building. It's very interesting. Everything happens here. The older generations, 3 generations are over here. They have hawker centers, community space. This is where they have their events and stuff like that. As we look further, we actually stumble upon this. We sort of understand further what happens in this building. How can we then bring this into the competition? Okay, so there's a community park right above there. You have the gardens and you have elderly and childcare. So every stage of being a children, being older, elderly, they are sort of covered. You don't have to actually leave the place. I guess Kampong Admiralty have that spirit that we want to sort of bring into this competition. The next one, I think, more closer to home is the Siti Khadijah market in Kota Baru. Not so much for its architecture, but more of for its social and economic elements. It's much more cleaner, more organized. This is where you see, I think the difference is more on the PRO is more of a Chinese, whereas this is more of a Malay. But I guess we are all one Malaysia. We understand how things work. So this is another project that we sort of draw inspiration. Next one, I guess, where now we move people into high-rise building and stuff like that, then where do we give back to them their public space and stuff like that? And we all love images like this, and we like sort of looking at how can we then bring it to this community. Furthest away from us is New York High Line. Previously it was abandoned freight line above the west side of Manhattan, which wraps around the Hudson Yard neighborhood. Then it's turned to a public space where we feel now previously where they are all, at the ground level, you have the trees and stuff like that. Now, how can then we bring back the space to this group of people if we want to do something there? All right, this sort of a separation from the pedestrian and the vehicles, giving them more of a green space. Now this is too far apart. You ask, is there anywhere nearer to Malaysia where it has been done? So then we look in Seoul, in Korea. Previously this is an elevated highway. It's a very narrow highway, and now it's being reclaimed as a public space. People actually walk there. I've been there, I think 2 years ago. Unfortunately, I was there during winter. But if you can see, now this space is being used by the public, have a lot more activities, have a lot more green and things being done. Especially if you look at this, lighten up at night. Things are more happening at night, and you don't just have market in the day, and then at the end of the night, and then that's it. The whole market is sort of dead. Okay? What about nearer? Let's come nearer, even nearer. When we see there's another one in Pratunam Sewak, Bangkok. Again, they reclaim spaces. When you have Bangkok, it's so congested. They reclaim spaces for public. Yeah. Okay. How about in Indonesia? I think we have to try to fit in the local context. So, we start looking all over the world. Okay. Previously, the markets were all right below here. So the roads were all congested. So then they sort of move it up right above here. So you can free up the freeway, and then people start walking here, feel even much safer. Things are happening even more right above the road level. Okay? From there, this is the Google map where you can see this is side A and this is side B. This is where the market is. And it's cut in between. This is Perak. Okay? So from the 5 elements and also from the inspiration that we get, we're thinking how can then we keep all of these 5 elements and also keeping the familiarity that they have, and in the sense that when we do something, these people will stay there. They don't feel that they are alien in their own home. I don't think we want to do that to the people there. They would, I think, if you follow the newspaper or you follow the events that's happening in Penang, you will see that Penang people are very vocal in their opinions and stuff like that. So that's what we would try to do. And the first cue was, for us, was that to keep the market right at side B and not to move it right to side A. Because it's so familiar that if you take the road and turn left, right, riding a bicycle or swimming is so familiar for them. And then if you move it to side A, then it's like, hey, where's the market? Suddenly now it's moved somewhere else. So I guess the next 2 other speakers, I guess they will further on continue to talk what is happening currently now. So I'll just move on with our competition submission. Okay. Right, this is what we have proposed. We'll go straight into each of the elements. There's 5 elements or 5 components. market, the housing, the temple, commercial, and also the community sense. Right, and that's where we sort of created a skywalk from the market and right at the at this proposed site B here. Okay, the first element that we saw was the community. How then we can keep this community of people that comes, you know. So that what we do was to remove the fences. If you see, this is actually the new market that we've proposed, and we have sort of removed the fences, sort of in a way there is no boundary. But then you ask, oh, what about security? What about things that it's going to be up here? Well, then again, you have to, you know. But what we want to do is have that openness that they have always have, that the, you know, the makeshift shed that they have done. So in a way, we created the public plaza for people to come here, and also this is where the skywalk is. If you go further up, we actually have the swimming pool right above there, and also some badminton court and community space. And this is where the skywalk is. So in that sense that we create a new economy for the people there. You know, now a new younger generation, even Singapore is talking about younger hawkers coming in. So Penang itself has a lot of artists coming up. So you can have this space for them to have, you know, market in the daytime, and this happens at night. Yeah. So this is where we see things happening at night. So in the sense, the market then will be belonged by the council. Then it says it will create a whole generation of economy or money to the council. Okay. The space here can actually have a lot of activities for the people during Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, or Deepavali. So, you know, it won't be a dead space at night. It'll be lighted up, and, you know, things will happen much more livelier at night. Okay. Now we move on to site A. We actually created, we sort of suggested, let's have a digital library at the space there for the people to sort of come and stay. Let's meet up, and again, site A, you see there's not so much of a commercial sense currently. So we want to keep that space still the same, but again, being very community level. Okay. We actually also then have a community mall, but where the people can stay there and come here without actually traveling far and reduce the traffic. Okay, this is the interior concept of it. Now move on to nostalgia. We sort of upgraded the existing market, and we call it the halal market. It's the new halal market. We have raised the roof and try to keep the profile of the roof, and also it's a starting point of the skywalk. And also we sort of remove the fence as well to create that openness between the existing market and the new market. Okay, this is where you see the internal of the halal market, the courtyard, where we've opened up and we let in more skylight in, and the escalators to bring into the skywalk. Again, where you have the open plaza, people will then have more activities here, rather than, you know, being confined in a building. Things that can happen at the plaza. I guess public plaza is something we love to see in the overseas, but how can then we bring it into a more local context? I guess it's a challenge at times as architects. We talk to developers, and then you will, you know, want to have fencing to protect the asset and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, and then the local foods that we have in the market. Religious, we sort of relocated the temple, and this is where the end of the temple is, the skywalk, sorry. So it's sort of like a pilgrimage for them, you know, right from the market, and they come right, the skywalk, and they come down here. So it's sort of a safe route for them to come to the temple. Creativity, where, like I said, the skywalk is where then you can have a lot more activities, newer activities, artisans, and stuff like that can happen for the local generations. Again, the digital library, the newer space for them to brew ideas and collaboration. I guess now a lot of ideas of libraries coming up. Sustainability, we then actually have this community park where right where the digital library is. This is where site A located. Oh, okay, and then in terms of site A, this is where the skywalk is, and then the new market and also the existing market. So a lot more things in terms of trade and sustainability of the trade and also the building as well. Okay. This is sort of our plan in terms of phasing how they can do it. That's where the phase 1 is, where we move the people into the low cost, and the phase 2 where the market is, where you have the people still continue their activities. Phase 3, and then phase 4 and phase 5 at site A. Okay. So this, I'll just show you a video, what we've done to sort of wrap up the
Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Daniel. I think we've seen at least how big the project, this project is. So for our next speaker, let's proceed with the second place winner. Architect Mei Chi Seong is from ALM Architects. And before he was going to give a bit of the local feel. He's, of course, from Penang, and he drove all the way, I believe, here. So let me welcome Architect Mei to give his proposal. Thank you.
Very good evening to everyone. First of all, I have to say thank you to Pam that I have this opportunity after 1.5 years of completing these competitions. And I almost forgot what had been done. And luckily, my file in my computer is still healthy and I can dig up things. And I start thinking of after having these invitations, I said, wow, then that is good. I think even though it's after 1.5 years, I think we have more story to tell. Most importantly, I think the story is not about my design anymore. I think Daniel just now delivered a very good design and a very good analysis. I think here I would like to say a little bit different so that it will don't get bored. Mainly, I think the story behind and the reason why I want to take up these competitions, and as well. And then I think the most important thing, I may spend a little bit of time and talking about what is the impact of these competitions after that. Other than I win the money, what I get more than the money. So that is what I think I'm interested to share with all of you. Of course, I know my time is 25 minutes, so I have to start here. The title is a bit weird, Tua Lo Ao. We pronounce as Tua Lo Ao is actually Hokkien, Tua Lo Ao Commune. Tua Lo Ao is actually a nickname of Perak Road. And it's interesting because Tua Lo is the main road, Ao is behind. It means it's behind the main road. So everything behind is actually interesting because it's a place that we seldom see. It's actually a dark spot of Georgetown. And behind the main road the main road is actually, Perak Road is actually squeezed in between Zelotong Road at the eastern side and Green Lane at the left on the western side. So these both are the main road of Penang, and this Tua Lo Ao is actually behind the main road. That means behind means we have a lot of gangster, a lot of grey area, a lot of dark spot that interests us. So what I want to share today is before, during, and after. First of all, I would like to talk about before the competitions. So a little bit of the site again. This is Georgetown. This is a heritage area. Komta is about here. This is the mainland. Bridge is somewhere at the southern part. This is Perak Road Market. Particularly, I'm interested in this project is because I'm staying just here. My apartment can actually overlooking Perak Road. And Perak Road is actually one of the market that I favorite. I know every hawker by name. I can call it Atu, Akau, Agu, Ahmad, Ali, Mutu, Sami. So we know them, we know each other. And my office is here. It's so near to the Perak Road as well. So there's no reason for me that I don't want to take part of these competitions. But fortunately or unfortunately, I'm too familiar with this place. But before we go into details, I'm architect, of course. So architect start with A. And at the same time, during the weekend, I am an athlete. So I am the one who looking for trouble, torture myself during the weekend. And also, at the weekend again, of course, I'm an artist. So I have 3 A's in my mind. So these 3 A's is very important, and it forms, it tells the story why I want to make this project a bit different. So the first A, I'm an architect. I grown together with my partner. This is me. I think he's more handsome. This is my partner. He's now at the back. And we are quite lucky that we have 48 years of same directions that we, although quarrel a little bit, but we still stay together. We still work together for the past 48 years. And we are quite lucky that we groomed this team. And we are so lucky that we have all others. Sorry, I'm from ALM. ALM. So we call our teammates ALMIES, armies. So we are lucky that we have many armies that work bread and butter. And we have two of these lucky guys that we can make architecture as our hobby. So this is where we are. And we have actually participated in quite a lot of PAM competition, especially in Penang. This is one of the early days, I think more than 10 years ago. Reference competition, we was one of the shortlist. Another market, which is about 3 years back, I think, Teluk Kumba market in Penang. The recent one, the tropical housing this year. Masjid, we didn't shortlist even. And last year we have participated in Datum Plus, and also in housing exhibitions last year, and this year Unsung Hero in Petronas. We are quite lucky that we submit many entries to PAM for PAM Award, and among them we have 3 award, which is for Gudang Cafe, Office in the Forest, and Chia Kong Si. As an athlete, I like to push myself to the limits. So do I in architecture. So I love to find issues and problems that I try to resolve it on my own way. And on the other hand, I am an artist. This is the number of painting that I produce in 1 quarter, 3 months. So every year I paint a lot. And one of my favorite topic is market. Everywhere I go, I actually look into market because there's a lot of clue, a lot of interesting part for me to discover. And there's a real life that reflects. This is just a new painting that I did it in Hanoi about a month ago. I love Hanoi so much because of this chaotic city. He actually gave me a lot of inspirations and tell me a lot of story behind. This is one of another market in my hometown. Those who come from Alostar will know this is the Telok Anja market, and you can see the white smoke. That is my favorite char kway teow. So you can smell the char kway teow here. So I like the market because he gives a 4 or 5 dimensional type of feeling. He gives a very in-depth type of interpretations. And many more markets. This is one of my nostalgic in Penang again. This is quite related. And in fact, this is one of the reasons I want to participate in Perak Road market competition. This is Chaurasta market, which is a very old and vibrant market in Penang. I think those who have been in Penang who should know this market. It's quite a pity that our council want to so-called rejuvenate this market, and he built a nice market, multi-story, so that he can clear up all the hawkers at the roadside. But so happened that I have friends, parents of my friends, and we know some of the hawkers there. They stop their business or they straight away retired. This is because their business are so sensitive, their margin are so low that they can't afford to have any disturbance to their business. So any small disturbance to many of us, to them is actually a killer. So many of them actually stopped their business and retired. So this is some of the images that, because when we know that the Chaurasta market, the street hawker is going to move up to the building, we spend many weekends over there. And I like to do painting, and the best thing for me to do is that I can't stop the government not to move them to the market. But what can I do is that I record as much as possible. So this is one of it. I find that it's so vibrant that you see all the umbrella, they arrange in such a way that they are all good architects. And many of them know each other. And actually, this corner shop here actually act as a main major landmark of Chaurasta. And we have many, many painting, sketchings along this Chaurasta market to just keep the last memory of this beautiful place. So now you won't see this, you will see a very clean, hygienic market. And to me, I would rather still stay with this very nostalgic Penang. So this make me, give me more reason of why I want to participate in Perak Road Market again. So I hope that this won't repeat, or can I make it better? So this is one of the big challenge that I give it to us. So we talk about during. So I have to confess, the making of Tolo, our commune. So we start here. This is, and in fact, I submitted 2 entries. Why I submitted 2 entries? This is entry P009. My winning entry is P002, is not mistaken. I submit 2 entries because, in fact, before the competition, I had done this before. Because I have Penang Night. So I had already do 3 proposals on Perak Road Market before the competition. So I said, there's no reason why I shouldn't participate in this competition. But I have to confess, this is my bread and butter. I didn't think much about that because I find that this is just for developer and they might not win the competition. What I need to do is that to do a fast job so that I can claim money, so that I cover my expenses. That's it. So this is P009. This is a benchmark, I will say. I put it here because, in fact, I don't like this. So, but now we have a competition. So we have to start to ask myself, if I want to participate in this competition, what drives me? What is the reason for me to participate? Yeah, I think the first reason is the prize money is very high, 50,000. But unfortunately, I make 20,000 less. Congratulations to Qhawarizmi. He made the full 50 and I only collected 30. But I think money is not everything, of course. So we need to find more reason for me because if not, it's too boring for me to continue another design after I do it 3 times. And what I can do if I say I've been preoccupied such many information in my mind, I can't do anything and I'm so familiar with the place, I don't have feeling. So what I have to do now is that I have to find the new inspirations and more importantly is that the new inspirations at the place that I'm so used to. I've been there many, many mornings. I know which hawker is good, which food is nice, which hawker is lousy or whatnot. So what we have to do, so we have to ask. We decide to make this a fun of our office. I told myself that I think regardless whether we win the competition or not, I think the first important thing is that we have to enjoy ourselves and this is what we get. So let's forget about what's the prize we can win. What we want to win is that the fun we can get it tomorrow. So what we do, first thing we go and ask the site. I think the site, there's a lot of things. And secondly is that we ask the people. First of all, the site. This is a drawn photo of the site. As Daniel said, this is, what is that? This is site B. And this is site A. Okay. In order to communicate to the people better, I think our people, we cannot give them a questionnaire, ask them, Uncle, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? They won't answer you. Or they will answer you a standard answer. Oh, this is good place, I love it, whatever. Everybody you ask, they will give you the same answer. So no point. And then I asked myself, what can we trigger a conversation with them? I think give them some images that they can start talking from them there. Or they can start tell us a story. And in fact, we have go through the whole Perak Road for 2 kilometers, take all the photo at the right facade and all the photo at the left facade. Actually, all these are continuous. We can actually continue 30 meters or 100 meters of images so that we can share it to the community. And of course, we do some model. Then we bring all this to the market. The reason we want to do this is that we want to start the conversations with something that they can play with, a story that they can tell us. So we display it everywhere in the market, start find opportunity. Of course, we don't have a spot in the market because it's so fully utilized until we are hardly get a spot. So we have to move here and there. If you chased by people, scolded by people, and sometimes. So this is how we start talking and have fun. And we find a lot of things that we never know as an architect. Because from there onwards, I find that actually it's a duty for me. I learn very little about the people until we talk to them. Whatever we learn from the university, in fact, is useless. I have to confess on that. So we start to respect them, and we start to dig deep in what is behind their mind. And I find this is all interesting. Okay. Secondly is that I'm an architect, and I tell myself I shouldn't go back as an architect. First thing I have to go back is a photographer. Why not I put up a thinking hat of a photographer? So I ask myself, I have to take a different way of photographing. I think some of these you will see very familiar with Daniel's photograph. So I ask myself to take a different photograph, a black and white, panorama, and HDR, so that I can see it in a different perspective. I like this very much because you can see, as Daniel said, this is a drive-through market, and they can park the motorbike. There's no segregation in between motorcycle park and market. They can park everywhere they like, but everything is in order because they have been practicing this collectively for the past 50 years. They have no problem of where they park the motorbike. Afterwards, I will tell you, they know where they park and where they shouldn't park. And there's no police there. There's no quarrel. Because they have been repeating this for 50 years, they can't quarrel every day. They might quarrel once in a while, but that is a good opportunity for them to solve some architectural problem. And all this happened, sad to say, without the assistance of architect. So I'm asked, where is the architect? The architect is in the office. Do architects know how are they making their life? How are they solving their so-called architectural problem with the absence of the architects? So where are we? What are we doing? I think this is an interesting question that we ask ourselves. And this is beautiful. These fans are not given by council. They install them themselves. They can solve this problem without M&E. Then you see the texture, the people are moving here, and all these actually, they have their own way to do it, and they repeat it and repeat it every day for the past 50 years. I like the texture, the mango. In fact, the mango seller only put up their store for 3 hours. After that, somebody else will take up this space. And the whole day, every single space are fully occupied. And again, this is an efficiency that architect didn't anticipate. So this is a sculpture. They leave the motorbike there until the tire punctured. And even the seat is stolen. And the motorbike is just beautiful. To us, this is a sculpture in the park. And nobody care to throw it away. And I think I appreciate it as a sculpture. So this is something beautiful. Can we say this is an art? I think this is a fence that Daniel want to take away. I agree with that. But the gate has been there for so many years and it become useful to some of the seller. So I think this is another interesting part. You can see the drainage here, a motorcycle park here again. The auntie, people will call her by name. You see, this is again the motorcycle, and this is all, we call it chaotic, but they know where to park. I'll show you one more. Again, you see, this is the place they sit, and they can cycle here. Just walk one step, they can sit down already. This is the most efficient architecture I had ever seen. Then this is so good that people can actually participate in architecture if we give them freedom. They can be a best architect than us if we give them freedom. So I come across my mind with a big question. Shall we give a democratic in terms in architecture back to the people? Shall we too much of interfere to their life? Shall we make their life difficult, or shall we determine what they should, how they should live, or shall we facilitate or coordinate? So this is some of the questions that I start to ask myself. Okay, you see, this is the most efficient way and most so-called environmental friendly way to sell nasi lemak. They use very little petrol. They can move mobile everywhere. You see this lady with Yakult. She actually contribute a lot of idea to us. She has been actually talking to us as and when she is free, when she has no customers, she just come here and talk to us. So happened that this is a very famous ojian, fried oyster. Then you can see the people are very smart. They have all elsewhere motorcycle, but they know this is a very famous ojian. So they never park motorcycle in front. This is how people regulate themselves. So I think this is something interesting. Okay, so it is not like enough as a photographer. I go back to this Tola'au as a sketcher. So I start doing sketching there. The reason why I doing sketching there is actually, there are two reasons. One is that once I stand there and sketch, people will come and talk to me. Hey, uncle, you draw this for sale? How much you want to sell? Then I said, not for sale. Hey, why not for sale? You come here for what? You doesn't need to work. I work as an architect. Oh, architect. Then why you as an architect, you stand here? Then I start talking story with him. And some of them, they can't start talking to me. And sometimes nobody talk to me, but they talk beside me. Then I will share with you. There's a lot of interesting story. I love this, the way they put the umbrella. Which umbrella on top, which umbrella at the bottom is repeated every day. And which umbrella come at 6 o'clock, which one they dismantle at 10 o'clock, and 11 they come the other one. Who sell chendol, who sell mango at what time. We doesn't need to regulate. They just come and go. And the whole space are actually so organic and so friendly that everybody live happily. Okay, this is the guy. He sell porridge. I know him. His name is very funny name. His name is Jesus Tan. He sell a good porridge. He actually belanja me porridge for free. Then, so I sketch him. He has he start telling me the story. He has a master degree in computer science. He don't want to be a engineer. Then he come and sell porridge. So he have a very nice porridge that everybody in Perak Road know about him. Wow, so fast. I have to go very fast. Okay, and I think this is very environmental friendly, that people know how to do the sun shading. And they do sun shading without cost them any money, and they can make money because they help Milo to do advertisement. I love the architecture because they do extension every now and then when they need, without architect. And this is the temple that Daniel showed just now. So they know where is the place that they need some additional spiritual space. And they doesn't need to have zoning, and they doesn't need architect to tell them where should the... this one I particularly have feeling. I draw myself, in fact, I do sketching here. And this auntie talking to the guy at the back, at the side, it's actually my site survey. When they're talking about, auntie asked the uncle, hey, I don't know how to use this handphone. Can you teach me? Then uncle teach him the handphone. While the uncle playing with the handphone, auntie tell him that yesterday got someone, a boy knocked down by a car. He had passed away already in the hospital. They said, then he said, why? He said, the traffic are so busy. Then they cannot cross the road. Actually, they tell indirectly, this is my interview to them. They tell me a lot of things about Perak Road that we never know as an architect, and we never be able to interview them, and they tell me about this. And this is something very precious, and this is my, I think, very important experience. We have about half of our office going up to Perak Road. This is a Yakut lady. Then we ask ourselves what touched me for our people. So the lesson learned is that I feel confessed that architects overdo a lot of things. We decide too many things for the end user, and in fact, we should have just let them do their own decisions. So this is my feeling that a vibrant Perak Road shouldn't become a memory as what Chaurasta Market is. So what we should give them is just a blank piece of paper, let them create their own architecture, and architects has jobless. So we humbly made, I think I'm not going through the details of this design. It pretty much actually, in fact, accidentally, I think our entry and actually the nail entry is actually, there are quite a lot of things which is repeated. For example, we have elevated highway. What they do is that they have it within the plot, and what we do is that we stretch over 2 kilometers to make it a so-called our own version of LRT, where they doesn't need to have an LRT car. We just need to have an elevated way for them to drive their motorbike, to cycle, and they can actually put all their hawkers at the above Perak Road. Then we can free up the whole Perak Road for all the vehicle, and at the same time, this actually act as a connector to all the apartments here, and to bring all the populations gather here as a community center. So this is the main idea of our entire entry. I will just skip this. We also think about what is affordability. Affordability doesn't need, it's not only make the house cheaper, but affordability means we give them an opportunity to make money nearby to the place that they stay. So this is some of the last slide. I think I want to skip this. Okay, and this is a photo taken by some others when I'm doing the presentations. Thanks for our teammate. We are actually completed this with the cheer of Tuala Ao Kopi O. Okay, another 3 minutes. I want to wrap up my presentations with, I think after is what more important. That's 1.5 years after these competitions. What we learned from this. We are always, this is Hinbas Depot. We are always inspired by those creative hub, creative center, Hinbas Depot. There's a lot of spaces in KL as well, like this. This is Kongsi KL, Zhongshan building, and we also have an opportunity to renew one building. This is Gudang Cafe in Penang, and we are quite lucky that after we won the PAM award, we invite a lot of architects who visit Penang, become a stopping place, and we are thinking of making another creative center for ourselves. And in fact, after the Perak Road competitions, we learned something. We learned that the architecture should go reverse. We shouldn't be too determined before we know who are the end user. So what we do is that this is actually the raw buildings that we had. We had done it 20 years ago, but somehow the client abandoned it. And after 20 years, we try to dig back the memory and dig back the phone number of the owner, call him again and say, hey, what you want to do with this building? Or if not, then can I propose that I convert this to my office, and at the same time, I take half of your building to be a community center? Then he said, yes, welcome. So what I do is that with the spirit of Perak Road, the lesson I learned from Perak Road, what I do is that without starting the design, I start to talk to the potential collaborators, and all these are the NGOs. Some of them are artists, they are organic farmers, they are actually incense makers, they are soap makers, and they are community libraries operators, and I start to talk to them. And at the same time, I also talk to the higher level, that what Chief Minister think about and what our Minister think about. And we have talked about, we are quite lucky about to know someone who are passionate about to keep all these recycled material. And all these are the raw material for us to cook, and we come up with it. After we toying up with this idea, this ingredient, and we come up with the idea of coax. where we have a lot of it can be community, collaboration, coordinations, and a lot of expert, excel, extraordinary, extreme, exotic exercise and everything. So and X is actually a very flexible, what we create is actually, is a lot of gray area, because I find that sometimes architecture are too determined. We determine a lot of functions for people. We are all black and white. But I think we can live more creative in a gray area. So why shall we actually allow more gray area for the end user? So this is why we come with the idea of CoX, and this is some of the idea that we are toying with. And very lucky that we are about to kickstart this project. And last, I always seek with programmer claim that they are software architect. And now, I think after the Perak Road competitions, I learned something. As an architect, I want to claim back my territory as a space programmer. I think we shouldn't decide for the end user, and we should just give them a program that how to utilize the program. I think they have the right and they have the ability, and we should trust them that they should be the best architect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Architect Mei. I think that just gives us a different feel of what we could actually do for competitions. You don't have to build, you just have to let it be organically, like our Mr. Architect Mei. He felt for the space, and I think we do really appreciate that. And next, we'll call upon the winner of the competition, which is Architect Qhawarizmi. And he will give his take on what the Perak Road should be. Architect.
Hello, good evening. So my name is Qhawarizmi. I think more or less you know the condition and the context of the site. So I begin with talking about the evolution of retail, how it's changed over time. Physical space is no longer crucial to the idea of selling stuff when you have a platform. And of course, it goes into other things as well, such as food delivery service. But one of the less popular application, which is sort of a fresh food delivery service, they are not picking up. This is because I think people like to buy fresh food themselves. So this is just images. However, there's a lot of problems plague operation in the market. So one of them is poor operation amplified by aging architecture that damper efficiency of a market. So even though this approach looks a bit cold, we'll come back because these are not the slides that I presented during the competition. This is all extra. The problem is lifestyle today has pushed people to get right to it. You want to have a meal. You don't want to cook anything, so they get straightforward to that. What happened was market has become a B2B, business-to-business transaction place. So this is some of the issues specifically to the market, because in my submission, I sort of forgo the commercial part of it and decided to just focus on the market rather than the mixed development. So the problem with market is that you have to go through something to get to somewhere. You have to get through fish, seafood, to get to the veggie. You have to go through the meat to get to the fruits, things like that. So it makes you, passing through parts that actually you have gone through, and you are making this sort of like hypothetical loop. This is a case study of a market. So you can see that usually all market stalls are designed, the same. You have one single design. And when you have a lot of looping and double walking, you increase time spent in the market, induce congestion, but in a way it's good for interaction. So basically, a lot of markets have deep horizontal floors due to the fact of logistic, and people don't want to walk different floors to shop and require artificial light. I think this is also happening in the original Perak Road market. So usually they will have this market floor and a food court. This is like a normal market. This is again, existing market, not Jalan Perak specifically. What happened was when you have multi-story market, same goes to Chowrasta and whatnot, you have this underslab, this sort of like overwhelming artificial cloud of whiteness, of plaster whiteness. And the market are also prone to cross-contamination due to the fact that there's no proper segregation of market produce. And in this market, specifically in Perak Road Market, there's no clear distinction or a safe distinction of halal meat and non-halal meat sold in the market. And the blended environment also makes the produce sort of like a one condition fits all kind of situation. So based on this, we saw that some markets has closed, some stalls are closed, so you are prone to walk into empty stalls, and basically when they clean their part, people will walk through, and what happened was there will be dirty foot marks. Yeah, so problems again, second layered stalls has less exposure, and we think that after looking through some markets, they have monotonous programming. They are very commercial, trading orientated, even though it is in the middle of the where people live. And understanding logistic, thinking about in the future what market could be and where the produce would be housed in a purchasing or retail app, there is a lot of invisible infrastructure, which is not roads, not lift, not trolleys, not ramps, which is the apps and data center. And then the produce is going to be moving from C to D and eventually to the user. Another model of logistic that we look at is the airport. We have the concentration model here, and then after you reach your destination, we have dispersion model. What happened was we have people and baggage to pile into the airplane, and airplane to go to the other destination, and then they will do the exact reverse. So in our market, we were thinking of concentration, of course, people and produce goes into the market and eventually disperse, and then application, the market produce will be stored in the market and then distribute directly to the people. So a little sort of walk in the history of Penang market. It starts with a street market, and eventually this street are filled up with religious activities, political activities. It's very lively. What happened was the street is too crowded, and the traders cannot, cap the street congested anymore. They built a simple shed, and people start coming in. They build a bed. This is Chaurasta before it was multi-storied. When the age where motorcars start to conquer the street, they build a more permanent market buildings. At the same time, the market traders keep growing, and some of them have to occupy nearby shop lots, and then they come with this integrated multi-story market, and of course this is the renovated one with the car park. So markets in Penang have grown from street to simple shed and eventually integrated multi-story market. And being in urban center, of course, there's no way about it. You have to somehow, increase density of a particular plot. So in this particular case, if you look at it, market in Penang is not actually a building, it is actually a district. So if you look through all markets, Campbell Market, Chaurasta Market, it always have these spillovers, eventually creating a district. So this is what we intend to do. We want to host each produce in a different building. So we have one produce for one building, one produce for one building. So this is our submission. We are the only one that is crazy enough to submit the market to take over a totality of whole 6 acre. That is number one. Second, we are the only submission that is crazy enough to put the market on the other side of the road, completely displacing the market. But you will see how it evolves. So you can see that the house hosts different produce, and we take the inner circulation of the market out. We take the gut out and produce this sort of like a boulevard. In a way, it creates a small district. The reason why we don't want to make an overarching huge market complex, because we want to respect the scale of the original Perak market. So when you divide the produce into different house, you still can get that small, acceptable human scale size. At the same time, we have this plaza in the middle, just like what Daniel said, there's a courtyard in the middle. We amplify them into a huge, not huge lah, but actual outdoor plaza that you can use. And we introduce ring roads on the ground and on the second level as well, with a humongous ramp going up from the bus stop and the Jalan Perak is here. On the other side is the development, which, as they mentioned, to compensate or to cross-subsidize the market. So it's insane enough to have the market in one whole six-acre plot. This is our tree temple that we relocate. It's kind of huge in a way, but they have a contemporary interpretation to them. So this is the isometry of the market. This is how it looks like. It is a city. They have their own public space, recreational green space, and of course road. So you can drop off your aunties, or if you're using e-hailing service, you can drop off directly on the market floor. This is how the plaza look like. And then this is what we submitted, basically. And then, of course, a clock tower to orientate yourself in this small city. So you know that which part of the city you are in and which direction you have to go to get to where you want to go. One of the pertinent feature of the market is a sort of a bus terminal. If you know, some of the market in Malaysia do have bus services integrated to the market. And this is sort of like enclosed logistic core, which going to free up the parameter of the market from any loading and unloading lorries. Okay, so this is how it looks like with all the M&Es. So the logistic core will handle everything, including a small B2B market. So basically, people buy in bulk, or sort of like huge amount, so they can just transact from lorry to the next lorry. They don't have to go up. And sort of we have the retail rotunda, like a circular corridors to make sure that all stalls have the primary frontage. So it's quite fair in a way. And then the boulevards, and of course the exits from the road, and our individual markets. This is how it looks like, more or less. This is the community hall. So if there is event in the community hall, it could spread towards the plaza. This is the section. So by putting the market on top, for the first time, the market has this good ventilation and daylight coming in. So unlike if you put it on the ground, which will have this cloud of white plasters. And the other reason why we put it up, because of the incoming floods to Julutong every year. So this is the only market that could be called flood proof, which going to serve as collection point for people that are victim of the flood through the fire station Balai Bomba just now as a destination spot to give help. So this is how it looks like. There's multiple tiers. Okay. So this is when I mean, of course, I submitted the housing as well, but this is not the, the main focus. So we presented to the mayor, the MP, the CM, and of course, at that time, the chief jury is Architect Izumi, helping us to, explain. And after that, we go through this exercise of course, even before that, we have been there, but we never really engaged them in, in the official capacity. So Mbpp asked us to communicate with the locals. So we presented in a true Malaysian presentation in Hokkien, English, and also Malay. The small cute girl there is my students helping us to translate everything in Hokkien. We get a healthy number of people participating in, and we have a good support for Mbpp with 20-something plus of the officers coming down from different departments, from licensing, city services, building, planning, and everything. So what we did is that we have done a survey before we had this workshop, and we get a good turnout to as a respondent. They given an option to further give inputs to this particular project by coming to the workshop. So we prepare 4 games or 4 workshops for them to give feedback to, because if you just ask questions, if you just give them slides and we say something, you just listen, it will not work. So they will divide it into 4 groups, and then they are, start playing this exercise of giving feedback. Of course, we have hired, with help of few students that can speak the language. Obviously, I can't. So we try to make sure that they understood what we are looking for. And basically, at the end of the day, they are having fun, because this is the first time they said, as Architect Mei has mentioned before, this project has been repeatedly been done, and basically they are having hard time communicating verbally or in writing. So we asked them to visually look at the workshop and then try to give feedbacks. So each feedback has somehow informed the next iteration of the market. And I think due to the fact that we give them a voice for the first time, they are very glad that actually we engage them directly rather than using the normal way of public hearing per se. And of course, to make it light and fun, we also use programmatic Legos, and we encourage them to give us alternative, what kind of layout do they want, and they fully participative. It's a democratic way of design, and we said to them early on, we haven't designed the market yet, even though we already won the competition at that moment of time. But again, they are very participative. Even the 2 add-ons that nearby the market came down to support us. This is some of the sort of collection of data. So obviously they want it to be here. So we have to move our original site of market here to the tapak A, which is fine. We don't mind. I mean, design is fun. So this is some of the mood that they want, the feel, and then some of the facilities. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I will not go through them. And from there, we have done 7 iterations, going from a site change, of course, in version 2. In version 3, we have reduced the size of the market, and we have further reduced in order to make sure that it is compelling enough to the developers. And then we go back to the 6.2 acres under the mandate that Mayor's given. He said that he's an architect, so he said that no, we don't have to be so obliged or be so conforming to the developers. It's fine, we will take 6.2 acres. And last year we have approval in principle in the City Hall, and we are working on version 7 right now. So this is the new market. It's been transplanted to the other side. The lobbies, staircases. This is almost BP level. So you can see that there is a lot of points of entry. You can go from anywhere. And the main point is the circular road on the second level is now reduced to half road. So you will see it later on. The logistic core still have the essence of the original wholesale area, and we increase the amount of logistic bay to 12, supported with four logistic lift, 2 ramps, cold storage, dry storage, and of course a place to get all the wastage away. So we have a wastage house underneath this terracing staircase, and we have relocated the temple at the back as a cluster. So we have dedicated sort of a crescent road to be closed if there is a festival, and then basically we can just go to the secondary road to get off the market and still maintain the loop. On the first floor, of course, the logistics staff continues as it goes from down to up. And then we have a lot of points to enter the market, so it's fairly open. Yeah, food court and retails is here, and basically they're going to be focusing on services-based business, not selling goods like toys and clothes, but business that cater to services like doing a duplicate of your key, tuitions, dentistry, kindergarten, stuff like that, music school. And at the back is a support spaces, of course, toilets and whatnot. And on the market floor, on the second floor, we have two departure, sort of like lay-by, like an island lay-by in the middle of, both sides there is a drop-off, and then here is the, the side arrival foyer per se. And they are served by 5 roads. So instead of having one ring road going around, we have to make them a bit more robust. And basically, this is where the e-hailing concourse, or where the sort of delivery or off-the-fly orders can be fulfilled. And this is short-term concourse where they can park and load their stuff into, regardless of either cars or motorcycle. So, of course, access are also possible from the front. You can see that there's a huge staircase going up, covering the garbage house, basically. And we try to keep the logistic route very short. So each market has entrance at the back for the market's vendors to supply their stalls. And all this are served by these 4 main boulevards, supported by smaller roads or smaller paths. And basically, the house hosts one produce: vegetable, fruits, chicken, seafood, and non-halal meat. The thing is, seafood market tend to close early because they start early. They start at 4, and then by 10 they're already closed. So the problem is, if we have an open plan, one horizontal plate of markets, we'll still have that crisscrossing problem. So basically, if they decide to close, if this market is closed, other market circulation will not be affected. So they will still go, can go around. And as you can see, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, but if a vegan go through chicken and meat to get to their vegetables, it's a bit, I don't know, they might vomit. So the idea was to respect people's lifestyle, choice of food. For example, this plant-based markets are put on one side, and animal-based market is put on the other side. And of course, as the other 2 speakers mentioned, they coined this as a Chinese market. That's what they told me when I go to the clinic nearby, when I go to the firefighter station, Balai Bomba. So they said because of there's no clear segregation of the meat, so it could cross-contaminate. So basically, we make sure that this is clear. So what happened is that they are interlaced with public amenities, playground, galleries, community hall, surau, and whatnot. And when you go to this market, you can curate your own experience. You don't have to adhere or being lost in the market. You can somehow curate your own experience. If you'd like to go to this part first and then skip directly to fish, you can. Or if you want to go through all the markets, you are more than welcome. Maybe just the video will show. Let's go. So the video just merely to show you the qualities of the market. Of course, from diagram, you can't appreciate the complexity of the leveling. Okay, start from here. So this is sort of the latest iteration. If you have seen the presentation before, it's different because I presented the project before here. So this is all new renderings that have not been shown. So in the entrance, we have this sort of a portal that guides you into the market. Of course, this is covering the waste management facilities, garbage house downstairs. So if you have the, you have the option of the escalator, staircase, or ramp. It's totally up to you. And one thing that I found very interesting is that there's a lot of senior citizens there, like to, talk and have a chit chat underneath a tree. So we created this sort of a small mound, sort of like a small forest. And if you decided to go up, you can go up through this escalator. And if you want to go to the retail floor, this is where you have to go. But if you decided to go directly to the market floor, you can make your way up, and eventually you will, reach the first market house, which is the fruits, going through, of course you cannot fly like that, going through a playground. So the market will have good ventilation, good sunlight all day around, because they have been, placed on top. So basically we discounting everything else except the market. We make sure that the market becomes the crown jewel of this particular complex. So the market basically tried to be fair in terms of, trade exposure. So people with corner units have smaller frontage because they are more strategic in terms of that, because they have the same rent all over the markets. And basically you can see that the produce are fairly, divided in order to make sure that each market house are designed optimally for each produce. So as you walk through the seafood market, you have, again, talking about fair trade, calibrated, scale to ensure there's no, miscommunication or, so the market will actually be operating in different hours according to the collective voice of each market cluster. This is the grocery, and when you have done doing your shopping, you can wait here for your spouse to come get you, or you're waiting for your e-hailing service, you can be there, or go to the other side, to the island side. So if you bring a car, you can go through, you can go up, and basically you are directly on the second floor. And you can go through here, the short-term concourse or the e-hailing concourse there on the right side of your right side. And then after you're done, you can go down. I'm not so sure why this guy is passing through this thing. Maybe just for, to see. And the third way to enter this market is through this pedestrian linkage connecting to the other side, which is the commercial and mixed development. If you ride bicycle, we have bicycle house, to basically let you store a bicycle, take shower there with along with the toilets. This is how the outdoor corridor looks like. In between market, seafood and non-halal meat. It's fairly, smooth circulation. This is the community hall, which can fit 4 badminton hall at least. And basically the hall directly fronted this plaza. So if you have any activities, for example, recreational activities during the weekdays, we can have, futsal pitch in order to accommodate the dire need of public space in this particular area. Okay, so fronted by planter boxes of trees, and of course during the weekend we can have more, explorative, adventurous programs instilled, because it's such an open plan. It could be almost anything. Maybe you can have an EDM music festival if you want. But it could be a stage, because Penang has very high a lot of cultural activities. This could be one of those venues. And at the end of the day, if the market sellers is not enough, we still can accommodate ad hoc vendors, just like the other two speakers mentioned. Sell nasi lemak on a motorcycle, we still can accommodate them, because it's such an flexible space, and at the end of the day, it will be decided democratically among market vendors, which is the main stakeholder in this particular project. And of course, we have the food court on top of there, overlooking the plaza for any activities, if there are any. So basically, the market also been, we have 3 children's playgrounds. So when the mom goes to the market, the dad can sit and read newspaper while overlooking their child. So it's trying to bring back the youth and young families. And of course, we have this tower, which consists of classroom, art galleries, and other stuff. And on this logistic core, it's such a behemoth. We have made it so robust to the point where it could accommodate 12 loading at one time. And outside the logistic core is this underneath the waste management part. And the whole market looked like this, trying to adhere to the human scale. We did not go 4-story up directly in the frontal of the road. We try to increase the scale as we go backwards. And you can see that the courtyard, the plaza play an important role. It could almost be anything, but in the same time, even though it's empty, it's the heart of the project. And you can see that the road, instead of going around, we have reduced it to half in order to save space and also improve the capacity of that particular drop-off. And basically, as we go around, you can see that we try to replace the amount of green that we have taken out in this particular project in order to make sure that they are still viable. So you can see that there's a lot of lining courtyards. So your car park, your logistic core is still naturally lighted up with these strips of skylights. And when the house has the power to decide themselves what time they're going to operate in and when they're going to do their cleaning, it gives more power to the vendors. And basically what we're trying to do is we try to somehow keep some of the essence of the original market. Of course, in this particular submission, we did not touch, we just let them be. And basically we try to give them alternative that might be suited for larger vendors. Just a point I have to make, the original market did not have the capacity to handle 300 vendors. They are smaller, but as Architect Mei mentioned, they have rotation. So each store will have 2 or 3 vendors using the same store. What Mbpp decide is that they want to make sure that each vendor get 1 store, hence why the market has enlarged to 300 vendors from original less than 100, I think around 50 or 60 original vendors. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.